Einstein's quote, "That will change how you see failure." Forever, what comes to your mind when you think of failure? A missed opportunity? A painful mistake? That sinking feeling in your gut when things just don't work out? Now imagine this. The very man who redefined how we understand space, time, and the universe, Albert Einstein, once failed his university entrance exam. He was labeled slow as a child. His teachers thought he'd never amount to anything. Yes, that Albert Einstein. But here's where it gets really interesting. Einstein didn't let failure define him. In fact, he saw it as a necessary part of growth. He once said something so simple, yet so powerful, a quote that has the power to completely shift how you think about your own setbacks. Let me ask you, what if failure wasn't the opposite of success, but a step toward it? What if the very moments you feel like giving up are the exact moments that prove you're on the right path? What if, instead of fearing failure, you embraced it the way Einstein did? Because here's the truth no one tells you. Behind every great success, there are countless failures that no one sees. The world celebrates the genius, but forgets the struggle. Einstein once said, "Failure is success in progress." Think about that for a moment. He wasn't just being poetic. He was describing his life. From rejection to revolution, from silence to science that shook the world. And if someone like Einstein, with all the odds stacked against him, could see failure as a friend, then maybe, just maybe, we've been looking at it all wrong. Stick with me for the next couple of minutes because I'm going to show you how this one quote can shift your entire perspective, not just on failure, but on growth, courage, and what it really means to move forward. Let's take a closer look at what Einstein really meant and how you can apply it to your own life starting today. Let's rewind the clock. Long before the world praised him as a genius, Albert Einstein was just a boy, and not the kind of boy anyone expected greatness from. In fact, as a child, Einstein didn't speak fluently until he was about 4 years old. His teachers described him as slow and difficult to teach. One even told his parents, "He will never amount to much." Imagine being a young child, hearing that from the very people meant to encourage you. He struggled with rote learning, the kind of memorization most schools demanded at the time, and often clashed with the rigid structure of education. While other children followed the rules and repeated lessons, Einstein was lost in thought, asking questions like, "Why is the sky blue?" Or, "What would it be like to ride on a beam of light?" He wasn't uninterested in learning. He was fascinated by the why, not just the what. But his curiosity didn't fit into the mold of the traditional classroom, and because of that, many saw him as a failure early on. When he was just 16, Einstein took the entrance exam for the prestigious Swiss Federal Polytechnic in Zurich. He passed the math and science sections, no surprise there, but failed in other areas like language and history. The result? He was rejected. Think about that. One of the greatest scientific minds in human history was denied entrance to university because he didn't do well in some subjects. Most people would have given up or accepted the label of not good enough. But Einstein didn't. He spent the next year studying, improving, and trying again. And this time, he was accepted. Even then, his journey wasn't smooth. After graduation, he struggled to find work as a professor. No university wanted to hire him. Instead, he worked at a patent office, reviewing other people's inventions, all while quietly developing the theories that would change physics forever. It was during those quiet, unnoticed years that he wrote some of his most groundbreaking papers, including his theory of special relativity. Imagine that. No recognition, no applause, just a man with a pen, a mind full of ideas, and the courage to keep going despite being told no over and over again. And when his work finally began to gain attention, he didn't suddenly become bulletproof. In fact, much of the scientific community rejected his ideas at first. His theories were too radical, too different, too hard to accept. But Einstein wasn't chasing approval. He was chasing truth, and that made all the difference. Here's the part that many people overlook. Einstein didn't achieve greatness despite his failures. He achieved greatness because of how he responded to them. Each rejection, each disappointment, and each so-called failure was fuel. He didn't see failure as a final verdict. He saw it as feedback, a sign that he was pushing boundaries and venturing into places no one else dared to go. And perhaps that's why, later in life, he famously said, "Failure is success in progress." This wasn't just a clever quote. It was his philosophy. It was how he lived, how he worked, how he kept moving forward even when the world doubted him. So when we talk about Einstein today, we often focus on the genius, the wild hair, the Nobel Prize, but we forget the boy who struggled, the student who failed, and the young man who kept showing up, even when no one believed in him. That's the real story of Albert Einstein, not just a story of brilliance, but of resilience. And here's what that means for you. You don't have to be perfect to make an impact. You don't have to have all the answers today. What matters is that you keep going, that you learn, grow, and allow failure to shape you instead of stop you. Einstein didn't wait for the world to validate him before he started doing meaningful work. He created his path by walking it, failure after failure, until it led to success. So the next time you feel like you've hit a wall, the next time you're rejected, ignored, or underestimated, remember this. Even Einstein was told he wouldn't amount to much, but he didn't let that define him, and neither should you. Albert Einstein once said, "Failure is success in progress." This mindset, however, is not just a theory. It's something that can be witnessed in real-life examples. Take, for instance, the story of a young inventor who faced rejection. After rejection early in his career, he spent years developing a device that he believed could revolutionize communication. But when he presented it to investors, they laughed it off, calling it impractical and unrealistic. Despite this, he continued working tirelessly, refining his invention and facing numerous failures along the way. There were times when he questioned whether he was wasting his time, but instead of giving up, he took every setback as a lesson, a step closer to success. Eventually, that device became the foundation for something we all use today: the telephone. The inventor's name? Alexander Graham Bell. Though Bell's journey was filled with challenges and failures, his determination to keep going was what led to success. Einstein's words ring true. Failure isn't the end. It's part of the journey towards progress. So the next time you stumble, the next time something doesn't go as planned, don't walk away defeated. Don't let failure convince you that you're not good enough. Instead, remember Einstein's words. Failure is success in progress. That's not just a quote. It's a mindset. A way of seeing every misstep not as a dead end, but as a doorway. Because progress, real progress, is rarely clean or easy. It's messy. It's frustrating. It's full of moments where you doubt yourself. But guess what? That's where growth lives. That's where you build the strength, the insight, and the courage that success actually requires. Einstein didn't fear failure. He embraced it. And that's exactly why he changed the world. So what about you? What if your latest setback isn't a sign you're off track, but proof that you're on the right one? If this quote helped you see failure in a new light, share it with someone who might need that shift too. You never know whose perspective you might change with just a few wise words. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us every week for more timeless wisdom from the minds that move the world.